TV.
A 14-year-old Florida girl is reported to police as a runaway by her mom when she doesn't come home one night. But Danika Troy did not run away. She was murdered, shot several times, and then her body burned and left in the woods. And the most shocking part, the accused killers, two former friends, ages 14 and 16. Why was Danika killed? Tonight, we take a closer look. Meanwhile, the accused Gilgo Beach, Long Island serial killer has been implicated in 6 different murders and will face a jury for those crimes. But there were other victims found near these 6. And now another case has been solved by investigators. But in a shocking twist, in this case, the accused serial killer has not been implicated. Someone else has been arrested. How will this impact both trials against both accused killers? Tonight, we break it all down. But first, Brian Walshe accused of murdering his wife Anna, the mother of their 3 children, after he suspected she was having an affair. But Brian Walshe says one day his wife just died. Then he panicked and dismembered and discarded her body. Now he's on trial for her murder, and today, the jury saw video of Walshe shopping for items he used to get rid of her remains. We'll show you the videos and ask the question, do they prove murder? I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Great to have you aboard. We've got a big hour coming up, and let's start by talking about Brian Walshe, the guy you've been watching here on Court TV on trial. He's just a strange man. I mean, that's the vibe I get from him. I don't know the vibe that the jury's going to get from him. Just give me my personal vibe. This guy's a little strange. I mean, and the most shocking part of this case is that Anna at some point fell in love with this strange guy and started a family with this weirdo. It really is. To me, it's really surprising. I don't know how all that happened. I don't know. Maybe he changed through the years. We didn't know him back then. We know him now. We know him and all his bizarre behavior, selling fake Warhols, and then admittedly dismembering and tossing out the remains of his own wife. And then going shopping. Shopping after Anna dies. And this now becomes a big part of the case. Now, what makes this trial a little different than we anticipated in the buildup to it over the course of years is that he's admitted that he got rid of her body. He's admitted all of that. But now we're starting to see some of this evidence of him going shopping after Anna dies. Like, okay, well, what's he going shopping for? He's going shopping for like some pretty incriminating things. If he didn't admit to getting rid of the body, right? All this stuff proves all of that. So the question really becomes, you know, does this jury, do they look at the case like this or do they look at the case like this? Because I've seen it both ways through the years. I've seen jurors that are just so hyper-focused in there that they don't get the big picture of what this guy is doing. So we'll see at the end of the case, obviously, the decision that they make. But let's not forget what the defense is about Anna's death. She just died. That's right. She just died. I don't know. She just died. Yeah, you know, she works out and stuff, but she just died. And, you know, that defense could work. It could absolutely work if you had a battle of the experts and you had a body. But the problem is, after she just died, according to Brian Walshe, he's busy destroying the evidence in the case. All the evidence that would prove his case, if his case was true. Like if she just died of an aneurysm or something, it would have been very easy to detect in an autopsy. Simple. These medical examiners do this all the time. Instead, he destroyed all the evidence. And again, this is from the perspective of, like, you believe Brian Walshe, or he believes himself. From his perspective, She dies naturally, suddenly, inexplicable, right? She just dies. And then all the evidence that would prove that is being destroyed by this man to basically frame himself for her murder. His defense to murder is, I didn't do it, I was framed by myself. That's basically what it is if you break it down. Because all the evidence that they're putting in front of this jury and is pointing at him are all the things that he did himself, to himself. It's unbelievable. It's a bizarro world that we're living in up in Dedham, Massachusetts once again. All right, so let's do this. So Anna dies, and then he goes shopping. He goes to Lowe's, and he's picking up all of these items. So I'm going to show you the video. We're going to speed it up a little bit. But as we're watching it, just keep in mind, two ways. One, he just committed murder, and he's panicking. He's got to get rid of a body. Or his wife just died, and he's panicking, and he's got to get rid of her body. Why? I don't know. Let's take a look. So as he's going up and down the aisles here looking for different items, let me give you an idea of some of the things that he is purchasing on this shopping spree. 3M over-the-glass safety, might be some goggles, an 8-pack of latex dip gloves for $13.48, some 3M sanding fiberglass, an RCP NO16 cotton mop combo. Yeah, it can get a little messy when you're dismembering. You might have to mop some stuff up. A 28-ounce framing hammer steel, a steel hammer, $34.98. Slip-resistant 912 drop cloth. So we got 5 of them, 5 of these big drop cloths that he picks up. Unbelievable. And this is all on the 1st of January 2023. And here he is at the checkout with some of those items. You can see the mop there. You see him helping out. A couple questions though. Why is he wearing the mask? And why is he wearing the gloves? Oh, and he did pay in cash. Now I get it. No fingerprints. No one can identify him. They'll never see him on the video and know who he is. And because of the cash, they'll never be able to track who purchased all these incriminating items, including shoe guards, long cut snips, a 200 count of rags in a box, a Lennox high tension hacksaw. Some shopping spree. Okay, now let's go to the 4th. So you had him on the 1st. Now the 4th, this is a few days later, and he's going shopping and he brings one of his kids along with him. And here, he's unmasked. He looks much more relaxed. Some of the most difficult work, I guess, has been done, and his son is helping him as he checks out some items, and he's purchasing what we believe looks like a trash can he may be purchasing. So this is the 4th of January, 3 days after everything. So that on the 1st, he went by himself, masked and gloved. Now, no gloves, no mask, although, yeah, got to check the hair. Does your hair look good? Yeah, it looks good. He's looking at himself. Look at this guy. He's still a little weird, right? Like, obviously, a little strange. Very twitchy, very fidgety. Brian Walshe, ladies and gentlemen, caught on camera. All right, let's bring in our think tank. Joining us tonight, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Al Wunsch III, criminal defense attorney Darnell Crossland, and family law attorney Jennifer Brandt. We watch this video, we see what he's doing. The one on the 1st, all of these items that he has purchased. He's admitted to all of this, right? This is their defense, is that, oh, of course he bought all these things, because he got rid of the body. We told you that. But she just died. How bizarre is all of this, Al? I know it's like it seems like it's the only defense possible, and a defendant usually has some form of a defense. But to me, it all comes down to credibility, common sense, and logic. Why don't you start us off? What do you think about the shopping spree?
Okay, well, the shopping spree, the only thing missing would have been lie. And then he would have been involved with, like, whatever mob guys do before they take out somebody. Everything else was there, was perfect. And you were correct when you said that he basically destroyed his defense, because the sudden adult death syndrome, okay, SADS, which is what he's basically alleging here, is an arrhythmia type condition, which would mean that she would have to have had some sort of a heart problem or a heart issue that would have just developed and, maybe had just basically got worse, and then she passed away from that. And by disposing of the body in the way he has and getting rid of that, the evidence that he needed to basically get him out of this predicament is gone. And the fact that he brought all this material and everything else demonstrates to me that there is conscience of guilt, and he was trying to hide the body because he knows that he killed his wife. It has to. But it is a ridiculous shopping spree. And what's even worse is bringing his child along for it. I mean...
Well, the child wasn't there on the first. The child came on the fourth, but not on the first. First, he was going solo.
But still, to have the child there as part of this horrendous situation with regards to offing of his mother is just, it's just hideous. Hideous.
It's horrific. I use Al's word. It's horrific. Horrendous.
Yeah,
horrific.
But
so
I mean,
listen, Vinny, what it boils down to is, this is one of those things where my clients often tell me, they found no gun, so can't be murder, even with the dead body. So you don't need a gun to be charged with murder. In this particular case, you don't need the body either. But one thing's for sure is the medical examiner would always determine what was the cause of death and the manner of death by examining what? The body. And if he destroyed this body and that's his defense, then he's going to have to live with the conclusion that he killed the person. And in terms of when you led into this, the jury has to take this really broad approach to this and say, how can we not see the big picture? How can we not hold him responsible for the death after he dismembered this body and we're unable to determine the cause of death or the manner of death? So it looks like a murder to me. And so that's what he's left with. There's no possible way they can, this was a Florida jury, maybe, but we're in Massachusetts, which is probably not saying too much more, but they have to conclude that you don't dismember and get rid of a body, stop the medical examiners from making their conclusion, and hope that's your defense. That will send a chilling effect across the whole world. Let's just do that.
Jennifer Brand, have you ever seen someone frame themselves like this? This is amazing.
Yeah, Vinny, I mean, I agree. And he had claimed that the reason he panicked, he found her dead and he just panicked, and that's why he just got rid of the body, because he was afraid, that they were going to come after him. Well, looking at these videos, this does not look like someone who is in the throes of a panic. He's very calm, cool, and collected. Looks like he's, kind of checking out things, examining what he's going to buy, putting some things back. He's got his mask on. He's got his gloves on. This is well thought out. This is planned. It even looked like there in that first video that it had like some kind of list in his hand or something that he was.
I think it was a coupon. I think he had coupons.
Yeah, exactly. And then he's, at the register, he's loading up his cart. It's just like anybody buying supplies. I mean, although these are gruesome type supplies, but it doesn't look like he's panicking about anything here. It looks like he thought this out pretty well and knew exactly what he was going to buy and took his time buying it, and even maybe used a coupon or two.
Yeah, and we sped it up, and it even looks calm there. So here's the other part of this, Al. There was also evidence shown to this jury of blood on the carpets, and I'm wondering, he went and he purchased all these drop claws. I could almost infer from that that blood is from the murder. That's not from the dismemberment. Like there's the murder first, and then there's the dismemberment. I could argue, and I think I would as prosecutor, ladies and gentlemen, he went and bought 5 of these no slip or slip resistant 9x12 drop claws which would gather up any spillage, any mess from what he was doing. This blood, ladies and gentlemen, is from the murder itself.
Yeah, I think that's actually a very good argument, that it would be very hard for him to say that, the blood got there. Well, sudden adult death syndrome. He looked everything else up on Google. He didn't look that up. So maybe he could argue that when you have this, you expel blood, and it's just, it's a horrible condition. It's like something out of a freak out science fiction book. But, he's got, that blood being there is so damning in this entire case. There's nothing here that is going to prove anything. There's nothing he can show that's going to get anyone on that jury to go, yeah, that's plausible, because this is just atrocious. And what's even more atrocious is trying to figure out how he did execute his wife.
Yeah, and
you have that kind of blood splatter there and everything along those lines. One would have thought maybe poison. One would have thought maybe strangulation.
No, I think it was violent. I think it was violence.
It's a lot more vicious than that.
Yeah, Darnell, I think the blood on the carpet, because he's buying all these other items to not make a mess, and that mess is left behind. To me, I would argue, and I think it's a fair argument, this is from the murder.
Yeah, I would have to agree, because typically when you find like blood splatter evidence, the team is able to put together entry wounds or blows, blunt force trauma, because blood sort of does a pattern thing. So I think the investigators and the prosecutors are probably going to argue what you're saying. This is not from the cleanup, because he had time to think about the cleanup, but this is when the whole thing went down. And it does seem OJ-ish. This seems to be a violent situation, not like, poison a Kool-Aid or put something in a drink. So this is, to use Al's words, horrendous.
All right, Think Tank staying with us. We've got a lot more to get to. Coming up, we've got another arrest, another case allegedly solved in the Gilgo Beach set of cases out there on Long Island. We'll talk about that. Plus, coming up next hour.
Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, Anna Kepner on a cruise with her blended family ends up murdered, and now suspicion has fallen on a family member. Will anyone be charged? Tonight we investigate.
The disappearance of mother Anna Walshe.
Her husband now charged with her murder.
All eyes on this accused killer.
Mr. Walsh was suspecting his wife of having an affair.
The massive trail of evidence.
This incredible timeline of Google searches.
It shows everything that was in his mind.
He searched how long before a body starts to smell.
The disappearance of Anna Walshe murder trial. Live coverage weekday mornings, 8/7 Central on Court TV.
The defendant is now charged with the murder of 7 young women. Sandra Castilla from 1993, Valerie Mack from 2000, Jessica Taylor from 2003, Maureen Brainerd Barnes from 2007, Melissa Bartholomew from 2009, Megan Waterman from 2010 in June, and Amber Costello from September of 2010.
The accused Long Island serial killer from the Gilgo Beach cases, all those bodies found in Gilgo Beach years ago. And little by little, the cases have been solved. Now, this accused serial killer, accused in 6 cases from Gilgo Beach. The 7th was from earlier in another location. But I want you to take a look on the map, and you can see where these victims were found, where their remains were left. In Long Island, you've got Melissa Bartholomew, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Amber Costello, Megan Waterman, Jessica Taylor, and Valerie Mack. And you can see where all those victims are. Now, he's also charged with murdering Sandra Castillo, but her remains were found in Southampton, which is in a different location than here. Now, there's been an arrest in a case involving Tanya Denise Jackson, who's known as Peaches. Her torso was found in the Hempstead Lake State Park in 1997. More remains were discovered along the Ocean Parkway in 2011. And Tatiana Dykes was her child, known as Baby Doe. Those remains were found in April of 2011, all again in that area. Andrew Dykes is the accused killer. He's the man who has been arrested. So you've got more bodies that were discovered here, and you can see where Tatiana is right in the middle of all where all the other bodies were, and Peaches, Tanya, a little bit to the west, to the southwest of where those bodies were found. But prosecutors are saying it wasn't the Long Island serial killer. It was this man, Andrew Dykes, who is apparently the father of Baby Doe. And that's how they put some of those pieces together. But here's the question for me. Now, this gets very complicated, right? You're about to try a guy for being a serial killer, and now one of the bodies that is found there is linked to a different alleged killer. On the other hand, you're going after this other alleged killer, Andrew Dykes, and the body is in the midst of all these serial killers. Are they going to end up pointing the fingers at each other? Right? You're at the trial of the accused Long Island serial killer. He's pointing the finger at Andrew Dykes. When Andrew Dykes goes on trial, he's going to point the finger right back at the Long Island serial killer. What does this do to the case now? Let's bring back in our think tank, Al Wunsch, Darnell Crossland, Jennifer Brandt. Jennifer, I'll start with you. What do you think happens here? Does this make things, and it's great police work, right, that they're putting together, they're identifying people, making arrests, but does it make the case or cases more complicated?
Well, Vinny, I mean, the location of the bodies is certainly confusing, that everybody was sort of found in the same area. But, you know, we have DNA, and DNA links Tatiana and Peaches to the killer in Florida, or the alleged killer in Florida. And the other women are linked to the serial killer, Rex Herman. So I think it's, as I said, location is a problem, but I think that, you know, the cases will go forward, and I don't think they may try to point the finger at each other, but I think there's enough evidence to be able to prove, you know, who did what here.
Darnell, I can't tell you how many times on Court TV through the years that I've seen, you know, sort of pointing the finger at some serial killer that's out there, you know, the boogeyman, the unknown. Here, when Andrew Dykes goes to trial, he can literally point the finger at a serial killer.
Yeah, it's very interesting because typically in most states, the defense, we just can't pull a rabbit out of a hat. We have to give notice of what they call third-party culpability. That's something that says it's plausible. We have to do an offer of proof and show why we're going to be saying someone else did it. You can't just be saying, a boogeyman did it. You have to give a basis for this, a legal basis. In this particular case, I think that even though both of these men seem like horrible people, horrendous, I think that at the end of the day, if I was a defense, I'd be celebrating, because all you have to do is raise reasonable doubt. And we tell jurors all the time that if, in fact, you think this could have happened, you even feel strongly this could have happened, that doesn't raise to reasonable doubt, and therefore it equals not guilty. All those feelings you may have equal not guilty. So all those doubts that they're going to be raising right now, I think is going to provide a benefit for the defense.
Al?
Disagree. In fact, I think this demonstrates that the police have done an exceptionally good job in their investigation. I think it demonstrates that the police have not just basically said, oh, it's him, and just thrown everything in his way, okay? They sat and they looked at every case individually. And the MO of this case is different than the MO for the cases that are being, that are being looked at right now. Andrew Dykes' MO is the body was cut apart. Part of it was here, part of it was there, part of it was somewhere else. So what you've done in that type of a situation is you've demonstrated that he's done it differently, okay, than what is being accused of with regards to the other serial killer in this case. So that's the whole thing. The police have done a great job, and it's going to bolster their case and make it stronger in the long run.
But Al, you're telling me, Al, as a defense attorney, you're not going to raise this issue to raise doubt? I mean, this is what we do. I mean,
you can raise it. You can certainly raise it. But
how do you say you disagree? How do you say you disagree that a defense attorney is going to celebrate the moment? We need stuff.
Okay, so here's the problem, though, Darnell. If you take a look at it from the standpoint of, okay, there's somebody else in the area that has been doing the same thing. There's only one body that Sykes is being looked at. Dykes, excuse me, is being looked at. Okay, and her body was cut up. Okay?
Uterman's guys are cut up too, though. He's also,
but they're not in different spots. They're not found in different towns. And in this case, the bodies were found.
The other guy did have parts of the bodies in different places.
Can I finish? The situation is they were all in a grouped area. This one had part here, part there. Okay, and there's a DNA match, which was already mentioned, that puts it to him. He had a situation with regards to this was his child. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of other stuff that is going to be going here. The Gilgo Beach murderer is not going to be able to use this for anything other than toss it out there. And I agree with Darnell. You'll toss it out there, but in the long run, it's not going to have any effect on the case.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
No, I was just going to say that the serial killer, Rex Heuermann, he did have body parts in different places. So for that aspect of the case, it is somewhat similar. But I do still believe that given Dykes, he was the father of this baby. I think there was more of a connection here with the mother and the child, but how they ended up, he's in Florida, how this all happened, in New York and how they ended up in this area, that's a question for sure.
Well, it goes way back in time. It goes way back in time. It goes back, the torso was found in 1997. More remains were found along the Parkway in 2011. And baby doe was found in 2011 as they were doing this Gilgo search. But the bottom line, Jessica Taylor, Valerie Mack, two of the Long Island serial killer's alleged victims, had their bodies dismembered and found in different places. So that denominator is there, Al. They're going to jump on that. Both sides are going to jump on that.
There could have been a lot of animals that have done things like that, and there could have been other things going on. You don't have that definitive. In this case, the body was spread out, and it was for the person who had a personal contact with this woman and the child. So it's a lot different than what Rex was looking at.
Let me do Vinny's job. We will see coming up next. Taking that job, Vinny.
All right, let's take a listen. Now, Al, you mentioned the great police work, and it is unbelievable. Let's take a listen to Nassau County Police, how after all these years they were able to identify the final two victims that they've been able to identify, Peaches and Baby Doe.
The first victim is an African-American female. She was located over 27 years ago. On June 28, 1997, her torso was found in the Hempstead Lake State Park, which is located within Lakeview, New York. This victim had the tattoo you see up on the screen on her chest. It's a heart-shaped peach with a bite out of it with a drop coming from it. Based on this tattoo, the victim has commonly referred to as Peaches. The second victim was Baby Doe. Baby Doe was the second victim discovered just over 14 years ago, on April 11, 2011. She was found near Ocean Parkway in Babylon, New York, and has been included with the Gilgo Beach murders. This victim was a toddler. She was believed to be 2 years old at the time. She's been referred again as Baby Doe. In 2015, the victims were linked. Through DNA analysis, Peaches was identified as the mother for Baby Doe. Although we linked them together as mother and daughter, we still did not know their identities. In 2020, the FBI assisted us, and the DNA was turned over to their team. They began their investigative genetic genealogy studies, which would eventually lead to the identifications of these victims. Agents and detectives subsequently interviewed family members and obtained DNA samples to confirm the identities through our Nassau County project. As a result of this technology, the interviews, the further DNA testing and analysis, we can now provide the names to both victims. Tanya is Tanya Denise Jackson. Tanya was born on October 22nd, 1970 in Alabama. When she was found in 1997, Tanya was 26 years old and a single mother. She was a U.S. Army veteran, as you see her in her fatigues. She was living in Brooklyn, New York. And at the time, she drove a 1991 Geo Storm colored black. This is her daughter, Tatiana Marie Dykes. Tatiana Marie Dykes was born March 17, 1995 in Texas. She's a 2-year-old female, and again, the body was discovered along Ocean Parkway in Gilgo Beach. Again, in 2015, she was linked to her mother through DNA analysis.
Darnell, will the attorneys for the accused Long Island serial killer be able, and do you think they'll want to get all of the records relative to the investigation into the murder of Tanya Jackson and Tatiana Dykes?
I mean, if I was, being a straight shooter, I would imagine that those records will tend to differentiate the two. And so you don't really want that. They would probably believe that there's a difference from the beginning, but they just want to raise this issue to the jury to say, if you have a doubt upon which you can attach reason, that you must acquit their client. But I don't know if they want to go and do a forensic research into getting the records, because that might go against their position as opposed to supporting it.
And once again, pointing out the difference between the prosecution and the defense. We always have to understand it. Prosecution trying to figure out the truth, and the defense trying to defend the accused. And there's a difference.
True.
All right. Think Tank staying with us. When we come back, we've got a case out of Florida. Look at these two kids, 14 and 16 years old. They should be out playing ball, playing computer games, but instead, one of them's taking his mom's gun and luring a 14-year-old girl into the woods. Those are the allegations. Details next. This is 14-year-old Danika Troy. She lived down in Florida. She was a teenager, living a teenage life, and she was taken. She was murdered. And it just seems so cold and sociopathic what happened to her. This is this one you're not going to understand. Like, you don't understand it. Like, I get it when you're in school and you're a teenager, you're 14, 15, 16 years old, and there's cliques and there's, people get into little feuds and they have, what do they call it now, beef with each other? Is that what they call it, the kids? Anyhow, this went way beyond any of that. I want you to take a listen to the Santa Rosa County Sheriff, Bob Johnson, who had to describe what happened to this wonderful 14-year-old girl.
On December 1st, around 7 a.m., Danika Troy, a 14-year-old, was reported as a runaway by her mother in Pace, Florida. Unbeknownst to the mother, unfortunately, Danika was murdered the previous night. On December 2nd, deputies in Pace responded to a dead body call off of Kimberly Road. Detectives were called out, hit the ground running, and I want to say this, we've had more homicides this year than normal, and our major crimes unit, who I'll put up against any major crimes unit in the country, has done a wonderful job. And so they're still working on this one from November 25th, and they get this one. So December 2nd, they get out there, they start the investigations, and this is where it gets really, horrific, actually. They developed two suspects, one a 14-year-old boy and another one a 16-year-old boy. The 16-year-old boy, Gabriel Williams, stole his mother's handgun and shot Danika Troy. Kamari Blevins is the 14-year-old. Put their pictures up. They are currently at DJJ. They're being held on first-degree premeditated murder charges. And here's where it even gets worse. It's bad enough you kill a 14-year-old, you're 14, you're 16, shoot her multiple times, then they set her on fire. So deputies get out there, they hit the ground running, they find both suspects, we get them in custody, and right now there's not a clear motive. But I can tell you this, we're going to be hopefully working with the state attorney's office to get these individuals charged as adults. You do an adult crime, you need to do adult time.
All right, WEAR, Channel 3 News down in Pensacola, went to the walking path near Kimberly Road in Florida town where Danika's body was found. I want you to take a look.
A 14-year-old girl found shot multiple times and then set on fire on this walking path in Florida town.
Oh, it just shocks me. It's always been so quiet here, and it's getting bad, really. It's terrifying, in fact.
The crime scene tape still up here off of Kimberly Road.
Shot her several times, burned her body. Had to take the gun from his mother. 2 kids, 14 and 16, allegedly conspiring and planning and plotting all of this. Take a look at this from the New York Post, and this is Danika's mom spoke to the Post. The anguished mother of slain Florida teen Danika Troy told the Post on Sunday that she doesn't blame the boys accused of killing her daughter, instead pointing the finger at the evil influence in the world. She loved them and they brutally murdered her, Ashley Troy said. The 3 teens were friends, but the boys then wanted Danika killed because she slighted them when she blocked Blevin's social media account and insulted Williams, calling him worthless and a gangbanger, authorities have said. I don't blame those boys. I blame evil influence. I don't hate them. I hate what they did to my baby. But I want nothing less than for them to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law, she said. And that's going to be a big question, this one, 14 and 16 years old. What is the full extent of the law? And how does this even happen? Still with me, Al Wunsch, Darnell Cross and Jennifer Brandt. Jennifer, I'm trying to understand. Every time I have these stories about kids, I go back to my own childhood, and I try to think, at that age, what are we thinking? What are we doing? How could these thoughts even enter their minds? This thing is planned and plotted, Jennifer.
Yeah, I don't think that mother is so far off. I mean, it sounds kind of hokey, but these kids are pure evil. To even think about doing something like this, if it was because of a social media slight or whatever it was, I mean, you don't shoot somebody multiple times and then set their bodies on fire. They lured her out there, allegedly pretending that they, wanted to meet her they liked her. I mean, you can't believe that kids could even think about something like this. These 2 are pure evil, and I think the sheriff got it right. I mean, they should be tried as adults. It's an adult crime, certainly premeditated. It wasn't something that they just, happened by accident. They took a gun, they lured her there, only to shoot her and then try to burn her. So it is, as Al would say, horrific and horrendous, and these 2 should be fully prosecuted.
Al?
Well, it's Florida again, Vin. The gunshine state, I like to call it. Okay, the Pecan Peninsula, because they're all nuts. I mean, this is a horrendous situation. Being slighted on social media. This gentleman, this boy, took his mother's gun, which how he had access to that is another story in and of itself, and then executed this young lady and then set her on fire. Evil influence, okay? It's just evil, okay? And I don't care what the influence is or anything along those lines. These 2 need to be prosecuted as adults, and they need to suffer the penalties that an adult would do. And guess what? Mom, you left the gun out for the kid. What does that say about you?
We don't know if she left the gun out. We don't know the details of that. Stop prosecuting Mom.
The gun is in his hand. The gun is in his hand, Vin.
Yeah, he's 16 years old. He's 16 years old.
I don't care. You don't know the gun.
It's not an 8-year-old.
None of my kids do that. None of my kids.
Why are you blaming the weapon? You can't blame the weapon. If they didn't have a gun, they'd use a knife. It doesn't matter. Darnell.
It does matter.
Well, I would tell you that this is very, very heartbreaking, again, because back in the days when you had a beef, you you might have fight, you might have fought, and that was it. Nowadays, we're actually shooting, killing, and then burning. Like even at my age, I couldn't watch a body just burn. I must have set it on fire. Sometimes you might stumble upon a dead body and just freak out, much less to sit there and burn it and watch it burn. Someone you know. I mean, so it takes a certain mental space to be able to do that. And so I think I'd have to agree this is pure evil. They've been watching too much stuff on TV where they think it's fake. Maybe they thought she was going to come back from this. They don't realize the finality of death. And it has to stop. And I'm sick of hearing, this is such a quiet neighborhood. It doesn't happen in this neighborhood, as though it's okay in south end of Chicago, where it happens all the time. Evil is evil no matter where you find it. And we need to start addressing this early.
Great job as always, Al Wunsch, Darnell Crossland, Jennifer Brandt. Thank you so much. When we come back, I will reveal something else you need to know tonight, plus coming up next hour.
Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, she was a straight-A student with dreams of the Navy, but Anna Kepner's last day at sea became a tragedy. Her body was discovered hidden in her cruise ship cabin, and some believe her 16-year-old stepbrother played a role. Could the answer to this mystery lie within her own blended family? Tonight, we investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates, tonight, 9/8 Central, only on Court TV.
The mother accused of killing her 1-year-old baby by leaving him in a hot car while she went to get lip filler.
The Lip Filler Child Killer Murder Trial. Live coverage weekday mornings, 8/7 Central on Court TV.
Day.
Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Let's take a look at the big board. What do we have? Pleads guilty. Who is that? No, not Alec Murdaugh. The clerk of the court, Becky Hill, the former Colleton County clerk of court, pleading guilty to 4 charges: obstruction of justice, perjury for showing a reporter photographs that were sealed court exhibits and then lying about it, as well as 2 counts of misconduct in office. She was sentenced to 3 years of probation. The judge told her the sentence would have been much harsher if prosecutors had found that she had tampered with the Murdaugh jury. Whew. Take a listen. Here's Becky Hill in court today.
There is no excuse for my mistakes. I am ashamed of them, and I will carry that shame with me for the rest of my life. I have already begun the hard work of rebuilding relationships that I damaged by accepting responsibility, by seeking forgiveness from those that I love, and by repaying any improper bonus I received. I am committed to making amends.
All right, here's a statement from Dick Harpootlian. The guilty plea is not surprising. More importantly, the agency expected to impartially investigate these charges, has a vested interest in avoiding any outcome that would question the verdict of the initial Alec Murdaugh trial. If Becky admittedly perjured herself in the jury tampering hearing held by Judge Toll, what else could she have lied about? Well, Dick Harpootlian will be on with Julie Grant tomorrow morning right here on Court TV. Make sure you're watching at 9 a.m. Okay, take a look at your screens. We have a missing child who needs your help tonight. This is Winter Sage Schaefer Othot. Winter is missing from Springfield, Massachusetts, just 16 years old. Take a look at the picture. If you see Winter, pick up the phone, make a call, make a difference, 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the Chicopee Police Department up in Massachusetts. That phone number's on your screen right now. Let's see if we can get Winter to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We have another hour of live true crime. Vinnie Politan Investigates is next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids.